Hi, I'm Tim Maher, founder of ClearDayDC.com. Thank you for visiting our site. I started ClearDayDC because a few months ago I had the opportunity for the first time in my life to visit Washington, D.C. and our Capitol building. I was able to visit and look in on the Congress and also look in on the floor of the Senate. While there, I witnessed two of our senators talking about earmarks that were going to be added on to the Homeland Security budget that they were voting on that afternoon. What I heard was truly foolish spending, and I knew in my heart right then and there that what's going on in Washington is never going to stop. No, regrettably, what's happened over time is our senators and congressmen in Washington have evolved themselves into their own world where they perceive that their value to us, we the people, is one, how much money they can bring home to their constituents that they represent, their state, their territory, their district. And two, that this is a career job, that they need to be there to help us. This is mistaken, of course. It's not about that at all. They forget that they're in the federal government and they're there for we the people. And as they look at legislation this way, where what's good for me, what's good for my constituents that'll vote me back here, they forget to look at legislation for all the people in the United States first and foremost. You know, they do this silly thing like, I'll vote for your bill if you'll add on this earmark which will build a new park in my town, or I have a friend who's in the research of discovering about the bad breath of monkeys. Well, you know, we've seen it all. They won't stop, and we need, as we the people, to help them help us once and for all. You know, what happens to stop this? The only way to do it is really to vote all of the existing senators and congressmen out of office simultaneously, all at once. Now, we can do this over the next 2 election cycles. And in some respects, that sounds like an outrageous, bold step. However, keep in mind that there are 300 million of we the people, citizens of the United States. There are only 535 people in Washington that are running us around. I say that because if you read the Constitution, it simply and clearly talks about the fact that the idea of the federal legislation, our legislators, is simply to have people that are willing to go there for short periods of time and help govern our country. I can assure you, out of the 300 million plus citizens here in the United States, there are 535 other great Americans who have done well, per se, in their industries, prospered, have the time and the energy, and would love to go to Washington and help us write our laws and regulate us. They may even have valuable knowledge in a particular industry that could help us. But the point is, there are a lot of those good people who would never go to Washington now because they don't want to be a part of this incestuous game of scratch my back and I'll scratch your back and give me some more money so I can get reelected and so on and create a career out of it. No, it really was never meant to be a career job, and we need to stop that. The other thing, too, to point out with ClearDay is that we're really not on a mission here to have revenge or anything like that. There are many good people in Washington, we believe, right now that are dedicated themselves to their work there, to helping the people of the United States. The problem is, every one of the people that are currently there are involved in the earmark game, and they're involved in this incestuous game, and they've all looked the other way. None of them, individually or collectively, have gathered together to protest this so vehemently that they stop it. And at this point in time in the history of America, when we have such a dramatic financial need, to watch them spend money for statues of deceased senators and so forth as they are, it's just really something that we need to stop. ClearDay says, look, We need to remove them all at once. The purpose of that and the reason it will work is simply if we do this, the machines that are out there, the political machines, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and so forth, they don't have enough money to prop up all of their special interest candidates in all the elections all at once. Therefore, men and women who I've described that have done well, that have good ideas, will come to the surface and be appointed to those positions. The next thing that ClearDay talks about in its three-point plan is simply, we don't need career politicians, and we only want to support those that will immediately vote into office, term limits. And we're suggesting term limits meaning 2 6-year terms for Congress and 6 2-year terms for the, or 2 6-year terms for the senators and 6 2-year terms for Congress, a total of 12 years total. The third and final thing that ClearDay says is we don't need any federal legislation over 150 pages. The bottom line is, and we've all heard in the last few months about bills that were written, laws that were written that are 1,900 pages and no legislators had a time to read them and voting on things they haven't read. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow citizens of the United States, let me just say this. The Constitution of the United States was written on 4 pages, and it's done us well for many, many years. If any law is being written over 150 pages, you can be assured that the balance of those pages are most likely being written for special interest concerns or earmarks or things of that sort. Truly, when we're writing legislation about things that entail the people of the United States, we the people, it doesn't need to be more than 150 pages. So that's our plan. We're asking you to join us here at ClearDayDC. Just sign up and be counted as a ClearDayDC voter. Let us remove all the existing incumbents. Let's vote in some fresh new faces in Washington, entrepreneurs and the like that'll help us guide our country in an ethical way and look at it from the standpoint of all the people, not those that'll just put them back there. And thirdly, let's limit legislation laws down to 150 pages. That's our program. We're very proud of it. It's unique and it's special because it's simple. You can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you can be a Green Party Libertarian, you could have never voted before and still believe in the cause of ClearDayDC.com. We ask you to join us, sign your names up on our registration list and be counted as those that are ClearDayDC voters. As we go forth and gain our national publicity, our voice will be heard, and we'll, for the first time in hopefully history, have politicians standing up and saying, yes, and all you ClearDayDC voters, I'm your candidate. And then we'll see politicians doing what we the people want instead of the other way around for the first time in history. I thank you, and I appreciate your support, and God bless America.